So the first thing that we need to be aware of when we're talking about addition is our 10 pairs, okay? The pairs of numbers that together make 10. So take a second to think about that in your head. I'm going to write them up here on the board. 1. Okay, so here we have our 10 pairs, right? Every number has sort of a partner that goes with it, and together they make 10. It's really important that we feel comfortable making 10, right? 1 plus 9, 2 plus 8, 3 plus 7, 4 plus 6, 5 plus 5. And so we're going to look now at how we can use our understanding of these 10 pairs to help us add more efficiently. So we're going to start with 8 plus 7. And I encourage you to pause this video, take a minute to think about in your head, what do we get? Okay, so answer is 15. Now, there are several different ways that we could think about this. Let's take a look at each one of them. So the first one, the most common way that most people probably thought about this is I would start at the bigger number in my head, 8. I'm going to show this on the number line. I start here at 8, and now I'm going to count 7 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then from there I could even, right, count up. Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay? This is our answer. So that's one way that we do it. It's probably a pretty common way that people might think about it. Not a particularly effective way or efficient way. So let's look at some other ways we could think about this. Now we're going to use our 10 pairs here again. So here I have 8 plus 7. Now I could pick either of these numbers, the 8 or the 7, and say, well, how many more do I need to make 10? So let's start with the 8. I need 2 more to get myself to 10. Where can I get that 2 from? Well, I could get it from the 7. So we're going to do something called breaking apart or decomposing this number. I'm going to do it strategically again because I want to make 10. So I need 2 more to make 10 with the 8, and that leaves me with 5. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, 8 plus 2, and I can show this on the number line as well. I'm at 8. I'm going to add 2 to get to 10. How many more do I still have? 5 more. And from there, 10 plus 5 is 15. Okay? Let's look at exactly the same thing, but let's try to make a 10 with the 7. 8 plus 7. So I need 3 more to get to 10. So I can break this 8 apart into a 5 and a 3. Okay, I'll show it on the number line again. We don't have to draw out these number lines, but I'm just showing it so that we understand. From 7, I'm going to add 3 to get to 10, and again that leaves me 5 left over to get to 15. Okay, I want to point out what we're doing here. This is called skip counting, right? I'm not counting, notice up here, I was counting 1 at a time, right? Here, I'm skip counting to make 10s, right? So from 7, I jump straight to 10 by adding 3. That leaves me 5 left over. So our next problem we're going to be looking at is 28 plus 11. 28 plus 11. All right? So we can look at this one, and I actually want to talk about a new strategy. Okay? So the new strategy that we're going to use here is we're going to break these numbers apart by place value. What do I mean break these numbers apart by place value? Okay, let's start with the 28. I'm going to look at each digit. Okay, this 8 is in the ones place. So this 8 just represents 8. But this 2 doesn't actually just represent a 2, it represents a 20, right? This is 28. So when I break apart 28 by place value, I break it into a 20 and an 8. Now I could do the same thing with the 11. I'm going to break it into a 1 and a 10. Okay, so we've just broken these two numbers apart by place value. Now what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to add the 20 and the 10 together, and I'll add the 8 and the 1 together. Okay, so we're going to add the 1's place, and then we're going to add the 10's place. 20 plus 10 gives me 30, and 8 plus 1 gives me 9. Got a little ahead of myself there. And then I combine these two values. 30 plus 9 gives me 39. Okay, so again, this is called breaking the numbers apart by place value. But let's use a different strategy to solve the same problem, right? It's really good to be flexible in the way we think about these things. So take a second and think about another way that you might solve it. You can pause the video. Okay, so I look at this 28, right? And I think, well, it's not close to 10, but it is close to 30, right? So again, I can use my 10 pairs. If I have 8, I need 2 more to get to 10. So if I have 28, I need 2 more to get to 30. Okay, do we see that pattern? I can use these 10 pairs even if I have larger numbers like 28. Okay, plus 2 is going to get me to 30. Where can I get this 2 from? Well, I can get it from the 11. Break it into a 2 and a 9. Now, 28 plus 2 gives me 30. And then 30 plus 9 gives me 39. Okay, same answer, different way to think about this. The last thing I'm going to do with this problem is let me show what this would look like on the number line. We start where? At 28. I'm going to add 2, gets me to 30, and then add 9 to get to 39. Okay, we're going to look at 2 more examples before we wrap this video up. Okay, so again, still got my 10 pairs up here. Let's take a look at 2 more problems. I encourage you to pause, think about how you might solve it first before I talk through it. So we have 48 plus 17. Just to keep things spicy, let me make it 47, okay? I don't want to focus too much on the 8s. All right. So I think the best way to think about this would be to try to make a friendly number, a landmark number. I can turn this 47 into a 50. How many more do I need to turn this 47 into a 50? Well, I need 3 more, okay? So I'm going to take away 3. I'm going to borrow 3 from this 17, leaving me with 14. Okay, and now from here, I'll go ahead and show it on the number line. We start at 47, add 3, gets me to 50. And then from there, I have 14 more to add on. If I feel comfortable, I could do it in one jump, right? 50 plus 14 gets me 64. But if I don't feel comfortable doing that, that's okay. I can actually add up the 14 in chunks. I could add a 10 and then a 4. Okay, what did I do here? I broke it apart by place value. So we could go 50 plus 10 gets me to 60, and then plus 4 more gets me to 64. My number line's not really proportional, but I hope you see that. Okay, so let's look at one more example. 32 plus 55. And we're actually going to go over a couple different strategies that we could use to solve this. There's never any one correct way, right? You can always think about these in several different ways. It's just about finding what works best for you. So, take a minute, think about how you might solve this. Okay, the first strategy we're going to talk about is breaking these numbers apart by place value. When I look at the ones digits and I see that they're not going to get higher than 10, it can be okay to add these up by place value. So I'm going to break the 55 into a 50 and a 5, and the 32 into a 30 and a 2. From there, well, 30 plus 50 gives me 80. Just like 3 plus 5 is 8, right? 30 plus 50 is 80. And then 2 plus 5 gives me 7. I combine those to give me my answer of 87. Okay, so we know the answer now. Let's do one other strategy. I look at these and I can't turn the 55 into a 60 that easily. You know, so what we're going to do, another strategy, we could add up in parts. We could add up in chunks. So let's start here at the 32. Why not? Let's start at the 32. So I start here at 32. I'm going to add up in parts. First I can add the 50 and then the 5. Or I could add the 5 and then the 50. Doesn't really matter. So let's start with adding the 5. 32 plus 5 is going to get me 37. Just like 2 plus 5 is 7. 32 plus 5, 37. And then from there I'm going to add 50. Now I'm just going to make this big jump. And I know that 37 plus 50 gives me 87, right? 3 plus 5 is 8. Okay? And then lastly, what would it look like if I started at the 55 in my head? I could say, okay, I got 55. I add 2 more. Where am I getting the 2 from? Right here. Gets me to 57, and then 30 more from there gets me to 87.